And welcome to MEE TV in Dubai, of course, for Middle East Energy. And with me now have Tim Armsby. Tim, welcome to MEE TV.
Thank you, Andy. Pleasure to be here.
Good to have you here. And you've been taking part in some sessions while the show's on. And today's was new business models for operating in the energy sector. Yeah, quite well attended. Tell me what you were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting topic. Like every jurisdiction in the world, really, countries here are having to deal with energy transition, which is a positive development. But as you move from large-scale conventional power towards renewable, it throws up lots of challenges. So the discussion was around how the market is changing, some trends that we are seeing, how the private sector is adapting to that, and going forward, where will the private sector play a key role? So
it's about increasing the role of the private sector in this, isn't it? How's the take-up for that? How do we overcome the hurdles to get the private sector involved more?
If you look at the way power is delivered in most of the markets here in the Middle East, the model they've chosen is the independent power plants. So they're already heavily reliant on the private sector. It's typically been the build, own, operate model. As we've moved to renewable energy, governments have literally just taken the existing template and adapted that to renewables. So from a certain point of view, not much has changed, except rather than it being a gas-fired power plant, it's solar PV or some other technology. But I guess the aspect that perhaps we didn't perceive when the market really kicked off here 5 years ago was the scale of the project. So the first project that was launched was 100 megawatts, which at the time I think was the largest standalone solar PV plant. At the moment, under tender is a plant that's 1.5 gigawatts. So there's been a massive switch, which has been driven by cost. The tariffs on these projects have continued to go down. It's not yet clear when we're going to hit the floor, but I think the last one I saw was 1.69 cents kilowatt hour, which is, it would have been inconceivable 5 years ago, but that's where we are. But obviously the advantage of renewables and the trend is it's enabling greater power production on site, distributed energy, and that is going to force governments here to have to change the way they operate, because almost universally you have vertically integrated systems and a single buyer.
And you had some great questions at the end as well from the audience. Tell me about what the key themes were with those.
Yeah, well, one very interesting question was, where is the role for the private sector with smaller scale projects? And obviously, you look around globally, one of the beauties of renewables is it can be done on a small scale. And because technically the operation of these plants is relatively simple, it's created opportunities for investors and businesses to develop new business lines. And I think there was great hope here in the region that it would offer an opportunity for local companies to enter into a new market and both target these projects locally and then potentially create export opportunities. What has happened because of the shift in scale that I just mentioned to gigawatt plants is that unless you're a big multinational, you don't have the balance sheet to deliver these projects, and the smaller projects are few and far between. One of the reasons for this is the current regulatory environment isn't really suitable for privately initiated projects. There are a number of reasons for this. One, in most states there are no wheeling regulations, so you have no right to produce power and access the grid. And then over and above that, even with those types of regulations in place, the general legal environment is a barrier. So I gave the example of access to land, for example. It can be quite difficult to find out who owns a plot of land. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done to the regulatory environment if they were really going to create opportunities for the private sector at the smaller scale.
Fantastic insight and a great session. Tim, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Andy.
And for the latest, of course, from all of the plenary sessions, you'll find that detail on our website, as always, middleeast-energy.com.